They told us climate change was a future problem. But for millions of people in Bangladesh, it's already knocking at their door, flooding their homes, poisoning their crops, stealing their futures. By 2050, 17% of Bangladesh's land could be swallowed by the sea. 30% of its farmland will vanish. And over 20 million people will be forced to flee, not from war, but from water. This isn't a scene from a sci-fi film. This is the reality of Bangladesh, a country on the front lines of climate change. Today we dive deep into how a rising sea, a changing climate, and broken systems are converging to push one of the world's most resilient nations to the edge. Bangladesh is a land of rivers, rain, and resilience. It's where the Ganges, Brahmaputra, and Meghna rivers meet the Bay of Bengal. But this natural beauty is also its greatest vulnerability. The land is flat, low-lying, and heavily populated. Over 170 million people live here, most of them within a few meters of sea level. And now that sea is rising. The World Risk Index 2023 ranks Bangladesh ninth in the world for climate disaster risk. Floods, cyclones, droughts, they're not new to this country. But what is new is how frequent, how severe, and how unmanageable they've become. Global warming has accelerated Himalayan glacier melt, feeding the rivers with more water than they can hold. When that water hits the coast, it has nowhere to go, except inland. In just 25 years, Bangladesh could lose nearly a fifth of its territory to rising seas. Let that sink in. 1 out of every 5 square kilometers, gone. And not just land, farmland. The salty seawater seeps into rivers and aquifers. It destroys rice fields, kills freshwater fish, and makes the soil unfit to farm. 30% of agricultural land could disappear. And this in a country where over 85% of rural households rely on agriculture for survival. Every lost acre of farmland means lost income, lost food, and a lost way of life. Where do these farmers go? They head to the cities, to Dhaka, Chittagong, Khulna, Rajshahi. These 4 cities alone absorb 90% of the country's internal climate migrants. People come by boat, bus, foot, carrying their families and whatever they can salvage. But instead of refuge, they find chaos. Dhaka now holds over 20,000 people per square kilometer, one of the most crowded cities on earth, and growing fast. Over 4.4 million people live in slums, in makeshift shelters of tin and tarp, built on land that floods when it rains and burns when it doesn't. There's not enough housing, not enough jobs, not enough healthcare, and definitely not enough hope. Migrants are stuck in what experts call double insecurity: no stable income and no safe home. They take whatever low-paying, hazardous work they can find, often in sweatshops or informal labor, just to survive another day. With farmland vanishing and cities overrun, food insecurity spreads like a shadow. Climate change is wrecking rice production, with yields dropping year by year. The projections are bleak: 7.4% annual reduction in rice output until 2050. And it's not just less food, it's less nutritious food. Farmers are forced to use more pesticides, pump more groundwater, and grow fewer crops per year due to erratic weather. Rural families, already poor, slip further into malnutrition and chronic illness. Meanwhile, in the cities, a public health time bomb is ticking. Air pollution from garment factories and burning waste causes 18% of national deaths, from asthma to lung cancer. And now, waterborne diseases like cholera, typhoid, and dengue are on the rise. Dhaka has faced annual dengue outbreaks since 2019, and climate models say it will get worse. The healthcare system, already underfunded and overwhelmed, simply cannot keep up. But climate change isn't just a physical threat, it's a social one too. When people are desperate, societies fracture. Tensions between local residents and migrants are rising over land, water, jobs, and there's a religious dimension too. Many of the climate migrants come from rural Hindu communities, now relocating into Muslim-majority urban centers. This shift is reigniting sectarian tensions, especially in areas with histories of communal violence. Extremist groups like Jamaatul Mujahideen Bangladesh are gaining traction, particularly in drought-prone areas like Rajshahi, where weak governance and poverty create a breeding ground for radicalization. And then there's the international fallout. As Bangladeshis flee climate chaos, many cross borders into neighboring India, a Hindu majority nation already struggling with its own political tensions. India's government, facing elections, is unlikely to welcome migrants warmly. This strains a delicate bilateral relationship. If these pressures grow, Bangladesh risks losing a key ally, one that could help with international climate funding, border management, and technology transfer. The crisis is no longer just local, it's regional, even global. So, what now? Bangladesh is fighting back. There are raised homes in flood-prone areas, cyclone shelters that save thousands of lives, floating farms and salt-tolerant crops are being introduced. But it's not enough, not yet. The country needs massive investment in climate-resilient infrastructure, urban planning to support migrants with dignity, stronger public health systems, and above all, global support. Because Bangladesh emits less than 0.5% of global carbon emissions, yet it pays one of the highest prices. This is a test not just of science or policy, but of our humanity. Will we stand by as an entire nation drowns, or will we rise to meet the tide? Bangladesh is not a victim, it is a fighter. But even fighters need allies. If you're watching this, you have a role to play. In spreading awareness, in demanding climate justice, in reminding the world that the time to act is now.